Victoria from Biblio Lifestyle, and you're listening to the Reader's Couch podcast, the show that will help you bridge the gap between living a full and busy life to one where you're reading, learning new things, and having fun. Today on the couch, I'm so excited to welcome author Maureen Kilmer to talk about her novel, Nightmare of a Trip. In Nightmare of a Trip, we meet Lee Somerset, and she's a mom determined to create lasting memories with her family before her children grow up. And her husband is embracing his inner Clark Griswold. And so we see the Somersets embark on a road trip from Milwaukee to Orlando. However, things take a spooky turn when they encounter a mysterious abandoned farmhouse in Indiana, which unleashes a haunting experience that shadows their journey. So from eerie water parks to haunted pit stops, the Somersets' attempt at a quintessential American road trip becomes a series of paranormal encounters. So readers can expect a thrilling blend of humor and suspense as the family navigates these supernatural challenges, which is testing their ability to bond amidst chaos. But before we get into the episode, pretty please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, leave the podcast a 5-star rating, and write me a review if you love the show. So, thanks in advance. And now onto the episode with author Maureen Kilmer. Hello, friends. Hello. Welcome again to the Reader's Couch. I'm your host, Victoria Wood, and here on the couch with me to talk about her newest novel, Nightmare of a Trip, is author Maureen Kilmer. Hi, Maureen. Welcome to the Reader's Couch.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, I'm super excited to have you here. I can't wait to talk about Nightmare of a Trip. But this is my third book from you. I assume it's your third book, but let me know if you've written more. But how are you feeling about this one, Nightmare of a Trip? It's now out, it's available, and readers can go to the bookstore and go to the library and start reading. How do you feel?
I feel great about it. I love this book. It's something that I pulled a lot of stuff from my own life. My family has taken road trips. We haven't encountered a ghost on our road trip. Never say never. But I'm really excited for readers to finally have it in their hands. And I've been working on it for a couple of years, so it's surreal that it'll be out in the world.
This is awesome. See, I was super planning on asking you about road trips. I'm like, man, are you one of those families who did a lot of road trips? Because I felt the vibe through the novel. Now, granted, I'm reading it as an adult, so like I'm siding with the parents, the frustrations of being on a road trip. But then I was also thinking about my childhood, going on road trips with my family. But before we get into all of that, tell us about your book, Nightmare of a Trip. What's your elevator pitch? What can readers expect when they pick up a copy?
Sure. I pitched this book as National Lampoon's Vacation meets Poltergeist. It's about the Somerset family. The main character is Lee. So Lee and her family, her husband, Nick, and her 3 kids, Piper, Sophie, and Leo, are road tripping from their home in suburban Milwaukee down to Orlando, Florida to visit a theme park, which is called Magic Land. It's not Disney, but it has Disney vibes. But so they load up their minivan with their turtle top on the top, and they start going on the Great American Family Road Trip. Now, Lee, the main character, is not all that into it, but her husband, Nick, fancies himself Clark Griswold type character and wants to show the kids some good old-fashioned family fun. So they only make it as far as Indiana when they have some car trouble, and they pull off and they come across a creepy, abandoned, half-burned farmhouse. And they think they see a little boy there. And they get out to see what's going on, to see if they need to help. Lee's mom instincts kick in, and they get out. And while they don't see the little boy, they definitely get the creeps from the sight. And they come across an old rusted locket that's on the property. And her son Leo is, can we take it? And of course, she's absolutely not. She's seen horror movies. She knows how this goes. And of course, he doesn't listen. He's a kid and pockets it in secret. And then creepy things begin to happen to the family as they travel down to Florida. So will they make it to Magic Land? Stay tuned to find out.
Yes, readers will have to stay tuned. I have to tell you, the first thing that came to my mind was Disneyland, because I know lots of folks make the trek to go
Yeah.
to Disneyland down here in Florida. I'm in Florida, so it's a big thing. Locals here sometimes, you get the annual pass and you get the
Yep.
Florida resident pass. So you can take the little road trips. It's 2 hours away from me. I do go every so often. I do love it there. And it's
Yeah.
always interesting when you meet families from all over the country at the hotel or something, and they're like, oh, they drove from here or there. So it's
Hmm.
definitely something I could relate to. I could also relate to going on a family road trip and having car trouble, because I remember going with my grandparents, my parents, my sister. It was a big thing, and we had car trouble on the way. So hearing this, I was just like, okay, yes, relate. Minus the locket part. I didn't find anything spooky, but I was spooked out because it was getting dark. But
Yeah.
anywho, so we see this family in Indiana. Of course, mysterious locket. Mom knows how this goes, watched enough movies, but of course, it is taken along. And they have some really weird and mysterious things that have been happening, from hauntings to hearing things to seeing things, and just everything just starts happening. It's fair to say them ending up at this house and of course taking the locket, things
Yeah.
start happening, from earthquakes. The funny thing was the clock resetting. I don't remember what time, but it would reset to the same time. I thought
Yeah.
that was so funny. What was your inspiration now? I want to hear about your family road trips. What were they like? Minus the hauntings, of course, but also
Right.
what inspired this whole story and deciding to add a spooky element to, I
Yeah.
guess, time-honored tradition.
Yeah. So I grew up going on road trips with my family. My parents took us we're from suburban Chicago down to Hilton Head, South Carolina, which is like about 18 hours in theory. So I grew up, my parents had a maroon station wagon, the third row, where if like you sat there, you'd be backwards, like completely ridiculously unsafe. So we would drive down there every summer. We did it for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. We did it enough. And it's interesting because my perspective on it as a kid, I thought it was like the most fun thing in the world. As we got a little older, we used to bring a TV VCR combo we had the adapter that you plug into the cigarette lighter. So we would watch movies. I don't have any negative memories of that. And also, the pinnacle of the trip was stopping at a Cracker Barrel for some reason in Tennessee. I don't know why that was like such a pinnacle, but we would go and sometimes we would wait 2 hours to eat at this Cracker Barrel. But that clearly stuck with me because I added a Cracker Barrel to the story, although things don't quite go as successfully in the book. So then when a few years ago, my husband and he grew up going on road trips too. A few years ago, we were like, you know what, let's try it with our kids. They're a little older. Everyone's out of diapers. Hey, maybe we could do this too. It might be a little crazy, but it could be fun. And so we actually did the exact same road trip. We drove from our house in suburban Chicago down to Hilton Head. And while it was a little easier because we have Wi-Fi and phones and everything, it's not really something that we want to. So we decided to take our kids on this road trip thinking it'll be a challenge, but it'll be fun. And while it was something that we can say we did, I don't know if it's something that we would necessarily repeat again. It always takes twice as long as you think to get down there. We were going to spend one night in Tennessee. And for some reason, and I take full accountability for this, I thought it would be great to stop at an indoor water park. I have no idea what I was thinking, because that sounds relaxing after being on the road. But it was every level of weirdness that you might imagine. My husband had someone else's Band-Aid stuck to his foot when he got out of the pool. They had to close the wave pool because the diaper exploded. Like, it was not exactly a relaxing stay for our road trip. So I added in a stay at an indoor water park to the book because I was like, there is just way too much ridiculousness here not to include it. So I always knew I wanted to write some kind of road trip book, since I felt like so many people could either relate to it, they had taken their kids on it or grew up going on road trips. With the stuff that I write, I like to take something that's already a little scary. With Suburban Hell, it was like crazy suburban politics, PTA moms, and then I added a demon. And so for this one, I added the creepy farmhouse and the ghosts. And the creepy farmhouse actually is inspired by where my parents live. There's a house that's on the corner, maybe a half mile from them. And growing up, it was like the subject of urban legends. It had a house that was like half decayed, an old well on the building. And they tore the house down because teenagers kept, breaking in or walking around the property, of which I was one. I did walk the property once, did not get caught. It's one of those places where every time you drive past it, you get the creeps. You get a sense of what the heck happened there. And the urban legend says that there was a family that disappeared from the house with their car still running in the driveway. Now, I've not been able to substantiate that because I definitely tried to Google it. And it's just on urban legend blogs and things like that. But that was the genesis for the ghosts in the book. They have since torn the house down, but I still drive past the lot whenever I'm visiting my parents. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there's something there.
There's something there. Oh my gosh. There are just so many relatable bits in this book. I couldn't agree with you. I love seeing the Cracker Barrel reference. I have a Cracker Barrel story. I want to say, because it's a thing that captivated me, although granted, I went to Cracker Barrel for the first time as an adult. However, it was the store. You had to walk through this store and there's just so many things. So that for me was very different. But I love seeing the Cracker Barrel reference. I love seeing the water park, because you can't go to a water park with children and not have something go wrong. It's just a perfect recipe. Yes, I guess readers are going to have to pick up the Nightmare of a Trip to see if they make it to the park after all. Because again, they're traveling from Wisconsin, they had trouble in Indiana. Do they make it to Florida? So stay tuned. So I told you before we even hit record that I am a fan of your books. Loved Suburban Hell, loved Hex Education, but Suburban Hell was just, I couldn't get over it because I live in the suburbs now and I'm telling you, the politics is real, but it made for a good story in your book. So for listeners who are not familiar, tell them about Suburban Hell. What can they expect when they pick up a copy?
So Suburban Hell is about 4 mom friends in a neighborhood who they are a little bit on the outskirts of the PTA mom crowd. Like their kids go to school with them, they'll volunteer here and there, but they're definitely not running the PTA meetings. And this group of friends sees the ridiculous in suburbia. There are kitchen reveal parties after people redo their kitchens, which exist here.
It's a real thing. I co-sign, real thing.
And the black parties. And so they're on the outskirts of all of that. They're in the sandbox, but not necessarily totally playing with the sand, or they want to kick up a little sand. And it's about, so one of the women, Liz, she is going to build a she shed in her backyard. And it's supposed to be their little clubhouse, their place to hang out. They think this is going to be fantastic, their home base. And while they're digging for the she shed, mysterious things start to happen. And Liz herself starts to act differently and changes. And so the other friends have to get together and try to figure out what's going on and try to save Liz and their neighborhood as all these creepy things start to happen around them. Barbies are moving around. There's a creepy Target experience. We all go to Target.
We all go to Target.
Yeah. It's the water cooler of the suburbs. Don't go to Target around here unless you want to talk to 25 different people. So it's a book where I really wanted to highlight female friendship. And I wanted to write a book where it's mom saved the world, or maybe just even their neighborhood. I think so often in books and movies, there's like the stereotype of the suburban mom, which I understand. A lot of it is accurate. But I also wanted to show the other side of that, which is the female friendships and how these women can come together and get shit done, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. They can. And you also wrote Hex Education, which again, it's perfect for this time of year as well. So you have a trio of really great books. But again, tell them about Hex Education, just in case they're not familiar.
Sure. Hex Education is about a woman named Sarah who, when she was in college, she and 2 of her friends just started to play around with and dabble in witchcraft just for fun. And then it started working. It was small things like passing an exam, things like that. And then they started to up the ante when it was all working, except for one night there was an accident and they set fire to their dorm. And so after that, they stopped doing witchcraft. Everyone scattered. They haven't seen each other since. And so fast forward years later, and there's a ceremony commemorating the night of the fire. And Sarah goes back to her university, and her other 2 friends, Alicia and Katrina, are there, and they reunite, and the magic between them flares. And now Sarah had magic still at home, but she would use it for small things like helping to make school lunches and things like that. After she reunites with her coven, the magic goes turbocharged. Her cat starts talking. Her fridge stocks 20 pounds of boar's head turkey. And so she has to figure out how she can keep hiding this, as well as what to do with her new turbocharged powers.
Yes, it's lots of fun. And I think, honestly, your trio of books are just, again, perfect for the season. So you have Suburban Hell, right? It's so relatable, I feel, especially for moms living in the suburbs. We know how that goes.
Yeah.
But also Hex Education is a fun escape. I love all the witchy vibes.
Yeah.
And Nightmare of a Trip, because we're fresh off of summer, right? We probably had a nightmare of a road trip in there somehow. But let's throw in some spooky elements to take your mind off things. But yeah, I think this is a great trio for the fall season and this time of year. Be sure to check these books out. But Maureen, I want to know what you're reading, right? Because we're here sharing your books. We're giving them reading material. But I know readers, we always want to know what else or authors are reading and add more books to our TBR. So the last book or books that you read that you now recommend?
So recently I read Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I love his stuff. He does horror so well. That was one of my favorites. Bless Your Heart by Lindy Ryan. I actually had the opportunity to blurb that. So I read an early copy and I just got my finished copy and it's beautiful. The other one that I really loved was Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. That had some great, it's set in an Italian villa where a family goes on vacation. It has great like family politics and you throw ghosts in. So that was right up my alley. So I recently read those three. My TBR list is, I don't know, like more books arrive every day. It only gets bigger. So I always have something that I'm reading. Right now I'm reading Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. I love her stuff.
Oh, good. That's a Frankenstein retelling,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yes,
Yeah,
so good. I read and love that one. So good. I love her books. Yeah, she's like an author for me. I love her work. I love her work. What are your childhood favorite books? What were the books that just caught your attention when you were younger and you just couldn't put down?
So obviously the Babysitter's Club was like a really big influence on me and many other people my age. I would go to the bookstore, Crown Books, with my mom, and she would always see, I don't know how often they came out, but it seemed like it was continuous. So I would always go and get whatever the newest one was, and I would have to like pace myself so I wouldn't read it all in one day. I would have to like consciously stop. So Babysitter's Club, Sweet Valley High was another one, that with the twins, that was really big. And also The Secret of the Old Clock, the classic Nancy Drew book. Those have always been my favorites and always will be.
Awesome. All right. So on the show, we love our indie bookstores. So share with our listeners some of your favorite local indies.
My favorite local indie is Anderson's Bookshop in Naperville. They have hosted my last two book launches, and they're actually hosting me tomorrow on the day that Nightmare of a Trip comes out. And they have such a fantastic store, and they're truly passionate about books. And it's one of those places where you walk in and they have the written placards of staff recommendations, and they carry a great selection of books, but it always feels almost like you're walking into someone's living room and they're like whispering to you what their favorite books are. So that is always number one on my list.
Awesome. Okay, so getting back to Nightmare of a Trip. Again, I know this is your book. You've written it, you've done it. You're going to be doing the bookstore events and talking to more people, I'm sure, and hearing from readers, which I'm sure is exciting. But in an ideal world, what are you hoping readers might think or feel after they've turned the last page of Nightmare of a Trip? What are you hoping for?
I think that kind of the key message behind Nightmare of a Trip is, I think, as parents and with families, we often plan these grand things for our kids or our spouse or whatever, and think they have to be these big over-the-top gestures. And half the time they don't go right. Things never go as planned, especially with kids. But I think there's beauty in being able to laugh together at the things that go wrong, or finding the small moments to connect with each other. Or it's funny because I was thinking back on the road trips that I took as a kid, and the things that I remember and my siblings remember are not the things that went right. It's the things that went wrong that is the stuff that bonds us. It's not, wow, that remember when we had that wonderful dinner. Maybe we'll say that in passing, but it's usually remember the time when something horrible happened. And that's what bonds us together. So I think, if you can find things to laugh at as a family, that's where kind of the true core memory moments happen. So I hope that readers, after they read this, will walk away from it maybe thinking about their own times with their family that was maybe a little disastrous and being able to laugh, or realizing that, hey, that's actually the good stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Those were the good stuff. Those are the things that you remember, and just how you worked through it all. I think that really stands out. Maureen, thanks for coming on the show and speaking with me. This has been fun.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Reader's Couch podcast. Please subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, and take a few seconds to leave a rating and review. Until next time, stay lounging, stay reading, and whenever you're in doubt, go straight to your local bookstore or library. Thanks again for listening, and happy reading.